Hello and welcome to News Central Television with me, Blessings Mosugu. The top stories at this hour. Dozens of women rally in support of state of emergency in Rivers, call for sole administrator to govern until 2027. At least 40 reportedly killed in fresh attack on Bassa local government area, Plateau State. Gabon's junta leader Oligu Nguma claims landslide victory, urges peace and unity. We've got the details in a moment. We begin in Rivers State, where the power struggle in Rivers State is escalating as the Attorney General of the Federation, Lateef Fagbemi, prepares to defend President Bola Tinubu at the Supreme Court against a challenge brought by 11 PDP governors. Now, the governors are contesting Tinubu's declaration of a state of emergency in Rivers State and his suspension of Governor Siminalayi Fubara, arguing that both actions violate constitutional provisions. Amid the intensifying legal drama, former Governor of Bayelsa, Seriake Dixon, has praised Fubara for his composure in the face of crisis. Meanwhile, Niger Delta leader, Government Ekpumulo, popularly known as Tompolo, has spoken out for the first time, assuring that Fubara will eventually return to office. Now, as both camps gear up for crucial hearings, the fate of Rivers State remains uncertain, hanging on the outcomes of what could be landmark judicial decisions. Meanwhile, a fresh women-led procession has taken place in Port Harcourt, with participants voicing support for President Bola Tinubu's declaration of a state of emergency in the state. Chanting slogans and carrying placards, the women described the move as essential to restoring order. Now, some demonstrators also called for the appointment of a sole administrator to oversee the state until 2027. Now, this procession underscores deepening divisions amid the political crisis in Rivers, following the suspension of Governor Siminalayi Fubara and rising tensions within the PDP.
Today to tell the world that there is peace in Rivers State. The joy and the peace we have been praying for is now. We want to tell God thank you for answering our prayer as Rivers women, and we want to congratulate the sole administrator for anchoring peace in Rivers State. We want to tell him thank you. I also tell the president thank you for bringing him to Rivers State. As you can see, Rivers women are out. They are putting on white. White signifies peace. There is peace in the state. There is peace in the state. We are out dancing for peace. We can sleep with our two eyes closed. Rivers State women are happy. We are women with integrity. We are not women that go on the streets to naked. We are Rivers women that have values. We have respect for ourselves. We are telling our president thank you for bringing back peace to Rivers State, bringing back peace to Rivers State, and giving us all our heart desire. We are happy.
And on this procession, our correspondent, Biola Festus, joins me now to bring update on this. Biola Festus, good afternoon. Thanks for joining us. Now, earlier on, Jasiri, you talked about the procession and what they were clamoring for, saying that they were thankful for the sole administrator who was sent to them. Now, I hear the procession is over, but can you run us through how this all went?
Yeah, Blessing, let me start with saying that it appears Mondays are now designated for protest in Rivers State. If we look back the past weeks, every Monday. Now, coming to the protest that happened today, according to them, there are women across the 23 local government areas of Rivers State. They are out from the procession to thank the president for the emergency rule in the state. Now, when I asked them if they got any political affiliation, they said no. But we could hear them chanting songs such as "Weekend a man, Tinubu is the man." So that aside, they said they are happy with the emergency rule in the state. In fact, you heard in the track that was just played, they want the sole administratorship to continue till 2027, because according to them, now is the time to enjoy peace in Rivers State. Their placards, there are some inscriptions such as Fubara should not only be suspended, but he should be impeached. The attorneys of the House of Assembly complex should be brought to book. Now, this protest, it is also worthy to note that this protest was a counter-protest to what happened last Thursday, where some women also came out to protest that the school administratorship should be put to end. Lesson. So it's beginning to shower now. We may have to look for an umbrella to continue this lesson.
Okay, that's fine, Biola Festus. Thank you so much. You can take shelter with an umbrella, and maybe we'll come back to you to continue the conversation. But we're still staying in Rivers State, and sea piracy and kidnappings along the state waterways have become an issue of great concern to many residents. Now, the latest incident was the hijack of a 6-passenger boat along the Port Harcourt Sea route, which has caused undue pain to many families. And Biola Festus has been tracking some of these affected persons as well, and she brings us their stories.
Sorry, Selling.
Baby Selling, just 1 year and 4 days old, is restless and unaware of the turmoil surrounding her. Her father, a victim of sea piracy, was kidnapped a day before her first birthday, leaving her family in distress.
That is going to come back.
Sophia, her mother, has been comfortless herself. The whereabouts of her newlywed husband has been unknown for days. Overwhelmed by emotion, Sophia tells me that she has no idea how to cope with her schooling and caring for her toddler all by herself.
I'm just a young girl. We just got married of recent, and it just...
The boat operator who was conveying Sophia's husband and 5 other passengers from Bile to Port Harcourt narrates how the incident unfolded.
I was coming from Bile down to Port Harcourt. So after when I crossed the New Calabar River, I saw 200 horsepower with armed personnel. They now divert our boat back to the creek where they came out from. They started collecting our phones and our money, all our belongings, then started beating some of us. One elderly woman asked one of the sea pirates that if I'm your mother, is that the way you are going to treat me? So they have that little conscience on her. So they didn't touch her, they didn't collect anything from her.
Bile, the capital of Degema, an island local government area in Rivers State, has only one way in and one way out of the council. And sadly, the singular means of transportation, which is by sea, has become one of no return for many. The story of Sophia is a sad reality that many coastal communities have had to deal with for decades.
With our wealth, Nigeria is what it is today. But we come to us, we are suffering. Our waterways are not safe.
The insecurity situation is one too many, and it's worrisome. When you enter boat to go, that there is that apprehension. You are always afraid. That is the level everybody is at now.
These wives, whose husbands were victims of the deteriorating security conditions across Nigeria, look through the windows every day, hoping for the return of their husbands. They call on the government and security operatives to ensure the release of their spouses from their captors.
I was calling his line. His number does not go. So the next thing I heard, they have carried them. Coming from Bile to Port Harcourt is no longer safe.
I don't get anybody. Now him be my father. Now him be everything to me. I no go fit carry am. I get plenty children with am. I no go fit carry. More na waka anywhere I want go find I can't give me. More na find I can't give me.
The uncertainty about the conditions of their husbands is even more troubling, as they are yet to be contacted by the abductors.
Up till now, we've not heard from them. They did not even call, no information. Government, please push your help us.
Owing to the security challenge on the waterways, these people now have to choose between risking their lives to travel home or remaining in the capital city, Port Harcourt.
My uncle is among those that were kidnapped, so it's not a funny thing.
I'm supposed to travel today, but I cannot travel because when you're traveling to your community, you'll be looking at your left and right. You cannot even breathe. You cannot be okay because you're scared. I want to travel, but because of the way the river is, I can't travel because of what is happening in the river.
For those involved in boat transportation, piracy and kidnapping on the waterways mean bad business for them.
I have lost one of my boats to the sea pirates, which cost me more than 6 million naira. Their operation is getting out of hand, and we want the federal government to do something about it.
Our passengers are no more safe, even the drivers and even on our boat. So as we are going, we only move with fear. We ask God to protect us down to Bile.
Although the state and local government authorities have at various occasions announced the provision of patrol boats on the waterways, those plying them say security is inadequate to guarantee safe travels.
Is it possible for us to go to Bile with you today?
If you want to go to Bile, there must be arrangements, because we cannot take responsibility of people that are just coming, strangers and visitors. So if we have to go to Bile, we have to make arrangements. We have to make arrangements for security.
The brutal truth is that locals in these coastal areas have no choice but to brave the dangers on the waterways, despite the risk of attacks and kidnappings. With no alternative routes or transportation options, they must rely on boats to travel to their destinations, making them vulnerable to the threats that come with it. In Port Harcourt for News Central, Biola Festus.
Well, that was a report beautifully put together on piracy attacks in the state, of course, by Biola Festus. Now, to more stories, governors elected under the People's Democratic Party are meeting on Monday in Ibadan in what has been described as a crucial gathering to address escalating internal divisions and ongoing legal disputes threatening the party's unity. Now, the emerging meeting, convened under the PDP Governors Forum, follows a Supreme Court ruling in March which reinstated Senator Samuel Anyanwu as National Secretary, effectively overturning the party's prior endorsement of Sunday Udeh-Okoye. Also high on the agenda is the political crisis in Rivers State, where Governor Siminalayi Fubara's suspension following President Tinubu's declaration of a state of emergency has triggered widespread outrage. Now we go on our first break on the news, and when we come back, we'll take a look at the insecurity situation in Borno State as it intensifies, and the Senator Ndume raising alarm over renewed Boko Haram attacks. We'll bring you the details of this and more. Do stay with us. Many thanks for staying with us. Now, unconfirmed reports from Bassa local government area of Plateau State indicate that over 40 people have been killed in separate attacks in Zike and Kimakpa communities in the Kwal district of Irigwe Chiefdom. Details remain sketchy as attempts by News Central's Chizoba Anyanwu to verify the incidents have so far been unsuccessful, with no official response from relevant authorities. However, our crew on the state capital is actively working to gather more information on the cause of the midnight attacks. Our correspondent now, Chizoba Anyanwu, joins us to discuss this. Chizoba, good afternoon. If you can hear me, where are you at the moment, and what can you tell us about the attack in the local government? All right, unfortunately, we can't take Chizoba now until we're able to establish connection with her. But in the meantime, while we wait to establish connection with Chizoba Anyanwu, still talking insecurity, Senator Ali Ndume has raised concerns over a resurgence of Boko Haram attacks in Borno State, saying that more than 300 persons have been killed in 252 incidents over the past 6 months. Now, addressing journalists in Abuja, Ndume said the worsening security situation prompted Governor Babangana Zulum to lead a delegation to the military high command. This team met with senior defense officials, including the Chief of Defense Staff, General Christopher Musa. Now, Ndume disclosed that 3 local government areas, Gudumbali, Marte and Abadam, are currently under Boko Haram control, with movement between locations restricted after 6 p.m. Now, while commending the military's efforts, Ndume stressed that troops are overstretched and urgently need better training, equipment, and motivation to counter the growing insurgency effectively. And now, ahead of the 2025 Day of the African Child, stakeholders are calling on the government at all levels to step up efforts in protecting and promoting the welfare of children on the continent. And while speaking to journalists in Abuja, they say that more needs to be done beyond passing the Child's Rights Act and called for increased funding to implement available policies. They also urge stakeholders across all sectors to work together to ensure that every African child has access to quality education and a safe environment to thrive.
The theme of this year emphasizes the need for African government and stakeholders to assess and enhance their commitment to allocating resources and implementing policies that uphold and advance the rights and welfare of children. As an organization focused on the legislature, it gives us great pleasure that a bill seeking to establish the Commission for Children Alone is currently being debated at the House of Representatives, which is a good progress. However, it transcends beyond establishing the body. It requires every one of us coming together to ensure that our children have the right to education.
The Day of the African Child Commemorative Event 2015 will center on advocating policies that will be children inclusive and revisiting the budget policies and actions on education across Nigeria. The event proposed outcomes like an official outcome statement calling all increased education for child welfare funding, legislative commitment to child-sensitive budgeting and policy monitoring, a new phase of multi-sectoral collaboration between governments, CSOs, private sectors, and development agencies, increased inclusion of children in decision-making backed by formal child participation platforms, and direct interventions to over 4,500 school children in the FCT.
Nigeria's federal government has officially flagged off the rehabilitation of Section 2 of the Abuja-Kaduna-Zaria-Kano Road construction works. This project is aimed at eliminating insecurity threats, reducing long travel time, and boosting economic activities along the road corridor. Now, the Minister of Works, David Umahi, says that the 164-kilometer stretch of road, which runs from Jere in Kaduna State, is valued at 525 billion naira and represents the largest segment of the three-part road project. Our correspondent, Idong Joseph, has more on this.
Originally constructed in the 1980s, the Abuja-Kano Highway has deteriorated over decades, prompting complaints from commuters and stakeholders over its poor condition, frequent accidents, and increasing travel time. According to the governor of Kaduna State, past effort by regional representatives to get the road fixed have not yielded any results.
Its current very poor state has for about a decade been a source of very deep concern to the governments and people of practically all the states in northern Nigeria. In fact, as a senator representing Kaduna Central in the 9th Senate, I mobilized all the federal legislators and key stakeholders to file ceaseless pressure on the federal government to complete this important road.
The road connects the Federal Capital Territory to at least 12 northern states, serving as a critical link between the northern and southern regions of the country. It is considered vital for interstate movement and also for economic and social integration. According to the Ministry of Works, once completed, the reconstruction and rehabilitation are expected to reduce road accidents, lower vehicle operating costs, shorten travel time, and boost socio-economic activities along the corridor.
Today, we are also flagging off this Section 2, 82 kilometer by 2, 164 kilometer, a total cost of 525 billion. Put your hands together for Mr. President.
This is one of the economic corridor of northern Nigeria. This is a connector of the entire north. And Mr. President is highly committed on this road.
The project, being executed in sections, span over 370 kilometers from Abuja through Niger, Kaduna, Zaria, and into Kano State. Section 3, which lies within Kano, has reportedly been completed by Julius Berger. However, with work now fully underway on Section 2, it is expected to be completed within 14 months, according to the ministry. In Abuja for News Central, Idong Joseph.
Now, speaking on reconstruction, the call for reconstructing Nigeria's political and governance systems is once again gaining momentum, with prominent leaders, civil society groups, and political analysts urging the government to adopt a more sustainable and inclusive approach to national development. Now, at the heart of a reconstructing debate is the belief that Nigeria's current federal system has become overly centralized, hindering regional autonomy, stifling economic growth, and deepening ethnic tensions. News Central's Israel Iferobo completes the story.
The need to restructure Nigeria is an old debate that has been on the front burner for a very long time, with many for and against it. The issue, many say, is at the foundation of the country's lack of all-round development in all regions of the country. From infrastructure, health, education, the grievances are the same. Many believe restructuring is the answer.
Each state, each department should develop according to their own pace, using their own resources, and then sharing a few common resources. And I believe that that really is the basis on which Nigeria was founded. That basis cannot be eroded. That basis must be gone back to, and that basis must be pushed forward. That is why we came together and agreed to come together as a nation.
Each person has independence to enter his own apartment when he wants. Nigeria is like an open dormitory.
Former President Olusegun Obasanjo says that restructuring should not be misconstrued as a threat to national unity.
I think the first thing we must understand is this: restructuring is not refusing to talk to ourselves. How can we continue the way we are, where the only thing that ever gets done is that the rulers are kept in style and the ruled are continually ruined? The people who are afraid of restructuring are simply people who are afraid to work hard and who are afraid to think and who are afraid to generate resource. Singapore has no resource. It's one of the greatest economies of the world because the greatest resource is the resource of the mind.
Civil society leaders say the issue is no longer just political. It's about everyday survival for ordinary Nigerians. Political analysts believe the window for reform is narrowing, with mounting insecurity, unemployment, and a growing sense of disenfranchisement among the youth. The urgency for action is more critical than ever.
What any one of us can do at any point in time is to place proposals on the table for the consideration of the collective. The one thing that is not in short supply are good ideas. What has been in short supply is the humility by those who have ruined Nigeria to admit to the fact that they've run out of ideas.
Wherever we find ourselves, let us be the best. Let us work as if we're doing our own things. Let us not lose hope. Nigeria will definitely be a better place.
We are not united. I mean, look, Igbos are different, Yorubas are different, Fulanis are different, Hausas are different. We should just agree to live as good neighbors.
As the 2027 elections approach, Nigerians are watching closely to see whether restructuring will finally move from campaign rhetoric to concrete policy. Restructuring is not about breaking Nigeria apart. It's about making it function even better for every citizen, regardless of tribe or region. In Lagos, for News Central, Israel Ifirobo.
Coming up on the news, Amnesty International urges the Ghanaian government to take action to protect people accused of witchcraft, particularly the older women. We'll tell you more on this after the break. Join us again. Many thanks for staying with us. Now to more stories. Amnesty International is urging the Ghanaian government to take action to protect people accused of witchcraft, particularly the older women who face widespread human rights abuses including murder. Despite a 2023 bill criminalizing witchcraft accusations, the law remains unsigned. These accusations, often triggered by personal loss or illness, leave vulnerable individuals, especially those living in poverty, at grave risk. Now, victims are frequently banished to camps run by traditional priests, where they endure squalid conditions until they die. Amnesty is calling for the introduction of a criminal law against witchcraft accusations, stronger protections for victims, and government intervention to ensure access to basic necessities such as food, housing, and clean water. Now, provisional results released by Gabon's Interior Ministry show junta leader Brice Oligui Nguema has claimed a resounding victory in the presidential election, securing 90.35% of the vote. Now, speaking to jubilant supporters, Nguema called for national unity and collective effort, declaring that there was no happiness without hard work. The election signals a new chapter for Gabon following last year's military coup that toppled longtime President Ali Bongo.
Pendant la campagne électorale, et je vous l'ai dit, il n'y a pas de félicité sans effort. Demain est un jour de travail. Nous devons désormais tourner la page de l'élection présidentielle. Notre pays est en chantier. Je vous invite à reprendre vos activités professionnelles dans cette 5e République que nous appelons de tous nos voeux. Soyons des bâtisseurs de paix et de justice. Que Dieu vous bénisse. Que Dieu bénisse le Gabon. Je vous remercie pour cette belle victoire.
Now, Tanzania's main opposition party, Chadema, has been disqualified from participating in this year's general elections after it refused to sign the government's electoral code of conduct. The announcement was made by Director of Elections at the Independent National Electoral Commission, Ramadani Kalimi. Now, the officials said Chadema failed to meet the deadline to endorse the code, which was due on Saturday. This development comes just days after party leader Tundu Lissu was charged with treason linked to his ongoing nationwide campaign for electoral reform under the slogan, "No reforms, no election." Tanzania is scheduled to head to the polls in October, with Lissu widely expected to challenge incumbent President Samia Suluhu Hassan. Now, to further discuss this, I'm joined by Wanda Mkuche, political analyst, who joins me from Zomba in Malawi. Thank you so much, Wanda, for joining us. All right, Wanda, if you can hear me, how does Chadema's disqualification from the upcoming elections impact the broader political landscape in Tanzania? Wanda, can you hear me? All right, unfortunately, we're unable to establish connection with Wanda. Immediately we can, and we rectify the network issue. We'll definitely get back to him to discuss the political situation. Now, to more stories, Amnesty International is urging Ethiopian authorities to immediately halt forced evictions linked to a large-scale urban renewal initiative. Known as the Corridor Project, the scheme was launched in December 2022 and has since led to the demolition of homes, shops and offices in Addis Ababa and across 58 other cities, often with little warning or compensation. Now, Amnesty describes the scale of the evictions as unprecedented, warning that thousands have been left in fear and distress. Residents say they were given only a few days to vacate before demolitions began, pushing many to relocate to costly rental properties on the city's outskirts. Now, the human rights group is calling for an immediate pause to the project until a thorough human rights impact assessment is carried out. Now, still to come on the news, China has criticized the United Kingdom following the passage of new legislation aimed at protecting British Steel's blast furnace operations. We have the details shortly after the break. Do join us again. Many thanks for staying tuned. Now, China has Well, we're going to the stories outside the African continent, and we'll focus on China, especially. The country has sharply criticized the United Kingdom following the passage of new legislation aimed at protecting British Steel's blast furnace operations, currently owned by Chinese firm Jinye Group. The law is designed to prevent the closure of the UK's last facility capable of producing steel from raw materials, amid growing concerns over industrial security and national self-sufficiency. British lawmakers have defended the move as being in the national interest. However, China has warned that viewing trade decisions through a security lens risks damaging investor confidence. Beijing expressed concern over the potential impact on Chinese companies operating in or planning to expand within the UK, suggesting that such actions could chill future business relations.
的这家敬业集团是一家中国的民营企业，基于市场化的原则，同英方开展了合作。对于目前英钢经营遇到的困难，双方应本着互利的原则商谈解决。希望英国政府公平公正对待在英投资经营的中资企业，保护其正当合法权益，避免将经贸合作政治化和泛安全化，以免影响 中国企业赴英正常投资合作的信心。
We also understand that dozens of protesters gathered outside the Colombian embassy in Mexico City, demanding justice over the killing of Colombian trans woman Siminalayi. Now, the demonstration escalated as protesters clashed with riot police deployed to secure the premises. Siminalayi, aged 32, was brutally tortured before her body was discovered in a ravine. Now, reports say she sustained multiple fractures to her arms and legs before being discarded. Outraged by the horrific nature of her death, demonstrators called for accountability from Colombian authorities. Now, activists also raised concerns over the persistent violence faced by trans individuals across Latin America. The protest at the embassy has once again spotlighted the issue of impunity in crimes targeting the LGBTQ+ community, with demonstrators urging international pressure to ensure a full investigation and justice for Siminalayi. Now, Ecuador's president, and that's talking about, apologies, we'll go to Southern Africa now, where South Africa is poised to launch a traded electricity market, offering consumers a variety of power products and pricing options. According to a leading investment bank, now historically reliant on state-owned Eskom for electricity, the country faced severe outages in 2023 due to mismanagement, prompting the government to permit private companies to build power plants and sell to the grid. The energy regulator has licensed 10 traders, including Green Electron Market and Discovery Green, to establish a market-driven pricing structure. This initiative aims to reduce energy costs, which have surged over 8-fold since 2008. Additionally, the government seeks private investment to develop extensive transmission lines, enhancing the country's energy infrastructure and supporting economic growth. Now, European stock markets opened higher on Monday, buoyed by news of a U.S. tariff exemption for certain tech items, coinciding with the onset of earnings season. The Pan-European Stock 600 index rose 2.16% by 8:50 a.m. London time, with all sectors in positive territory. Our technology stocks surged 2.88%, while oil and gas gained 3.1%, and banks climbed 3.3%. The recent tariff policy changes by U.S. President Donald Trump have created volatility in global markets, leading to an 8% decline in the Stoxx 600 this month. Now, as the first quarter earnings season begins, companies face uncertainties due to trade tensions. The euro and British pound also climbed against the US dollar, which has weakened significantly in recent days. And to sports now, Lobby Stars' 27-year run in Nigeria's top football division has ended following a 2-0 defeat to Kano Pillars. Ahmed Musa opened the scoring after halftime, with Naziru Awelu adding a late penalty to confirm Lobby's relegation with 5 matches remaining. The club has been winless in 17 straight matches, failing to secure a single victory in 2025. The Lobby Stars currently hold the league's worst statistics: fewest wins, fewest goals scored, most losses, and lowest points. Meanwhile, the relegation battle intensifies elsewhere. Heartland stunned Rangers International 2-0 to climb out of the drop zone. Katsina United earned a valuable draw against league leaders Remo Stars. Only 4 points now separate 10th placed Bayelsa United from the relegation places, with 5 matches left to play. We're still talking sports. Nigeria's Flying Eagles will face Morocco, Tunisia, and Kenya in the group stage of the 2025 Under-20 Africa Cup of Nations, following a tournament reshuffle. Now, the redraw, conducted at the Egypt Football Association headquarters in Cairo, became necessary after Côte d'Ivoire withdrew as hosts, prompting Egypt to step in. And with the change, Nigeria moved from the original group containing Egypt and South Africa to a new Group B. Hosts Egypt lead Group A, which also features Zambia, South Africa, Sierra Leone, and Tanzania. Defending champion Senegal lead Group C, joined by Ghana, DR Congo, and the Central African Republic. Nigeria's squad returned to Abuja after a 3-week training camp in Katsina and will depart from Egypt shortly for final preparations. The tournament will run from April 27 to May 18, with the top 4 teams earning tickets to the 2025 FIFA Under-20 World Cup in Chile. Africa's 10 representatives for the 2025 FIFA Under-17 World Cup in Qatar have been confirmed following the CAF Under-17 AFCON playoffs, which concluded on Sunday, the 13th of April. Now, Egypt and Uganda claim the final slots with 2-0 wins over Angola and the Gambia. Uganda's victory secures their historic debut at the tournament. They join Burkina Faso, Côte d'Ivoire, Mali, Morocco, Senegal, South Africa, Tunisia, and Zambia, all of whom advanced from the knockout phase. The expanded tournament will feature 48 teams and runs from November 3rd to 27. Now, with seasoned sides like Senegal and Morocco leading the charge, Africa's delegation is set to challenge the world's best in Qatar and aim for a breakthrough on the global stage. Now, Rory McIlroy made history at Augusta by defeating Justin Rose in a sudden death playoff to win his first Masters title and complete a career Grand Slam. The victory makes him the 6th golfer ever and the first European to win all 4 major championships. McIlroy had missed a 5-foot par putt in the 18th in regulation, forcing the playoff. But he bounced back by delivering a near-perfect approach on the same hole, landing just 2 feet from the pin. He calmly sank the winning putt and dropped to his knees in celebration. The emotional triumph marks a long-awaited milestone for McIlroy, who had been chasing the elusive green jacket to complete his collection of major titles. We're still talking sports. The LA Clippers and Minnesota Timberwolves have clinched playoff berths with key wins on the final day of the NBA regular season. The Clippers secured 5th place in the Western Conference after a 124-119 overtime victory against the Golden State Warriors, who now head to the play-in tournament. James Harden led the charge with 39 points, including 12 in the overtime, setting up a first-round clash with the 4th-seeded Denver Nuggets. The Nuggets had early sealed their position by defeating the Houston Rockets 126-111. Meanwhile, Anthony Edwards scored 43 points to gain the Timberwolves past the Utah Jazz 116-105. Minnesota's win helped the team to a 6th-place finish and a first-round showdown against the Los Angeles Lakers. Well, that's all we've got on the news at this hour. But before we go, let's take another look at some of the major stories. Now, we did tell you dozens of women rally in support of state of emergency in Rivers, call for sole administrator to govern until 2027. We also mentioned at least 40 reportedly killed in fresh attack on Bassa LGA, Plateau State. And finally, we told you Gabon's junta leader Oligui Nguema claims landslide victory, urges peace and unity. Remember, you may send your eyewitness report to the WhatsApp number showing on the screen. Also, do also follow us on social media. We are at News Central TV. You can watch News Central live on DSTV channel 422, Go TV channel 23, Star Times channel 274, Avo TV, and YouTube. Many thanks for watching. I'm Blessings Masugu.